Last time on the Silent Bond. The mask slipped, and the village saw more than it should have. Anbu now lurk behind corners, root whispers grow louder, and the Hokage's eyes are no longer turned away. But Sakura Haruno is just a student, at least. That's what they think. The academy has begun. New bonds will be tested, rivalries will sharpen, and secrets are becoming harder to contain. As friendships deepen and danger draws near, one truth remains. No one is truly invisible forever. Welcome to Riow Stories. If you're enjoying this series, please like, comment, and subscribe to support the channel. Now let's dive into Chapter 13 of The Silent Bond, reincarnated as Sakura Haruno. Chapter 13, The First Day. Sakura's Diary, Day 2090, Year 7. I used to wonder what it would really feel like to start over. A second chance. A new life. A new name, even. But the thing they never tell you about new beginnings is that they come wrapped in old habits, familiar thoughts, quiet fears. And yet today, with the sun pouring through my window and the scent of pancakes downstairs, it finally felt real. Today, I become a shinobi of Konoha. The soft glow of morning filtered through Sakura's bedroom curtains, golden light catching the edges of her neatly organized desk. She lay in bed a moment longer, listening to the village waking up outside, vendors setting up carts, distant voices of other children heading to the academy for the first time. Her fingers curled slightly in the blanket. Today's the day, she whispered to herself. She rose slowly, slipped into her usual training clothes, and padded downstairs. The familiar rhythm of home greeted her, sizzling batter, the sharp scent of brewed coffee, her mother humming faintly off-key. "Morning, sweetie," Mabuki said brightly, flipping a pancake with practiced ease. "Big day today, huh?" Sakura nodded, a small smile forming as she sat at the table. "It feels bigger than I thought it would." Across from her, Kazashi lowered his mug, pride lighting up his face. "You're going to be incredible. Just remember, it's not all jutsu and grades. It's about bonds, friends, the ones you fight beside." He glanced knowingly at her, like Naruto and Hinata. Sakura returned the look, touched but slightly overwhelmed. "I know. And don't forget," Mabuki added as she set the plate down, "be yourself. You're stronger than you think." Sakura's Diary. They see me as their daughter. Just a girl with a bright mind and gentle hands. But I've lived 2 lives now, and in this one, I've already made bonds most shinobi don't earn until they're grown. Still, I treasure this. The smell of breakfast, their pride, their belief in me. I won't let it go. Outside, the streets of Konoha were already buzzing. Sakura walked at a steady pace, the warmth of the morning sun across her shoulders. Every villager she passed, every flicker of chakra brushed softly against her senses, like raindrops falling on still water. And then, like always, Naruto. His chakra was a beacon, bright, wild, uncontrolled, impossible to miss. "Sakura-chan?" She spotted him near the gates, waving both arms. Hinata stood quietly beside him, her smile shy, her chakra soft but sure. "Morning," Sakura said, falling into step with them. Naruto practically bounced beside her. "This is it! Our first day! I'm going to show everyone I'm going to be Hokage!" Sakura laughed. "I believe you." Hinata nodded faintly, her eyes on Naruto. "We'll all do our best." They passed beneath the arch leading into the academy courtyard, and then, there. That familiar chakra signature washed over Sakura like warm sunlight. Sasuke. He moved quickly ahead of them, walking beside Itachi. The elder Uchiha offered a brief word before vanishing down a side path, leaving Sasuke alone. His chakra was steady today. Focused. Excited, even. Sakura felt it across her senses like the beat of a drum she hadn't realized she was marching to. "Sakura-chan?" Naruto's voice cut through her thoughts. She blinked. "Sorry, I'm fine." They reached the entrance. The building stood before them, wide, imposing, buzzing with the weight of futures not yet written. And today, they would begin carving their own. The academy classroom buzzed with noise and movement. Shouts, laughter, hurried introductions. Desks scraped against the wooden floor, chairs bumped, and the air practically sizzled with anticipation. Sakura stepped into the room with Naruto and Hinata at her side. For a moment, the chaotic swirl of chakra signatures swamped her senses. Flickers of anxiety, excitement, envy, and uncertainty. She breathed in, grounded herself, and let the excess pass through her like wind through leaves. Then she found her calm. Ino was already there, flanked by a small cluster of girls, Sakura vaguely remembered from the market and training days past. They were whispering behind their hands, casting glances her way, especially toward the seat she chose. Sakura ignored them. She sat beside Hinata near the middle row, close enough to see the front clearly, far enough to avoid the loudest kids. Naruto practically threw himself into the desk on her other side. "Bet I get the highest throwing score on day one," he declared with a confident grin. "You tripped over your own kunai sheath yesterday," Sakura said flatly. "Strategy," Naruto insisted. "Throw off the opponent by confusing myself." Hinata giggled softly behind her hand. Sasuke entered a moment later and made his way to a seat 3 rows ahead of them, alone, as always. But Sakura didn't need proximity to feel him. His chakra pulsed evenly in her field like a metronome, balanced, unshaken, cool. But underneath it, she caught the faint flicker of something, not quite calm, anticipation. He wanted to be here. He wanted to be challenged, and she respected that. Haruka entered the room just as the clock on the wall ticked to the hour. The class fell silent almost instantly. His voice, calm and commanding, filled the space. "Welcome," he said. "Today marks the beginning of your journey as shinobi of the Hidden Leaf." He moved down the center aisle, gaze steady but not unkind. "You will be trained in combat, chakra control, field survival, and the philosophy of what it means to serve as a protector of this village." He paused briefly, letting the weight of that settle. "But above all, you will learn teamwork, intelligence, trust. Those who succeed alone fail eventually, but those who protect what's precious endure." Sakura felt those words wrap around her like a soft thread, tying past, present, and future together in a knot. Sakura's diary, Iruka means every word. He isn't just another instructor. He's one of the hearts of this place, the kind that beats quietly but keeps everything alive. Even now, I can feel the way the classroom settles under his voice, like he's holding all of us steady. And maybe he is. Class continued with introductions and seating assignments. Some students kept to themselves, others puffed up like peacocks, eager to be seen, to be known, the usual social dance of 12-year-olds teetering on the edge of something greater. But Sakura's focus never slipped far from the undercurrents. She could feel the stares from Ino's group, sharp and sour. Their chakra signatures flickered unevenly, jealousy mostly, possessiveness, resentment too. Especially when Sasuke so much as glanced her way, even if it was fleeting and unreadable. She kept her expression neutral, but she marked every pulse of tension. It wasn't a threat, not yet, but it would be. The first half of the day ended in a blur of names, classroom rules, and basic orientation. When the bell rang for lunch, the wave of students flooded into the courtyard like birds freed from a cage. Sakura, Naruto, and Hinata found a shaded spot beneath a wide tree near the fence line. Their lunches were simple: homemade rice balls, a few sweets, and Naruto's ever-hastily packed bento. "Can you believe we're really here?" Naruto asked between mouthfuls. "This is it. Step 1 to Hokage-dam." Sakura smiled. "I can believe it. You've been announcing it every hour." Hinata's laughter came a little easier now, but even as they ate, Sakura remained aware of her surroundings. Across the courtyard, Sasuke sat alone, his lunch untouched for a while before he finally started eating. He didn't seem bothered by it, but his energy, his chakra, told a different story. He was focused, but not closed off. A part of him was waiting. For what, Sakura wasn't sure, but she wanted to be ready when he found it. The afternoon passed in a slow crawl of introductory lectures, student surveys, and a brief explanation of upcoming skills assessments. The excitement that had filled the room that morning had shifted, dulled slightly by structure, sharpened by rising curiosity. Some were already calculating how to rise above the rest. Others were simply trying to keep up. Sakura watched the room from behind her desk with quiet attentiveness. Her senses tuned not just to the words being spoken, but to the energy beneath it all. Shifting postures, nervous glances, flickers of chakra, every one of them revealed more than the surface ever could. And Ino? Ino had definitely noticed her. They hadn't exchanged words, not yet, but Sakura had caught her glancing over multiple times, her gaze unreadable, sharp, measuring. She didn't miss the way the other girls mirrored Ino's mood. Their chakra buzzed faintly with irritation. Not dangerous, but loud enough for Sakura to pick up on. A little too loud, all because Sasuke had sat a few rows ahead of Sakura, because he'd glanced her way only once, because Sakura hadn't fawned, She had simply existed in his orbit without apology. That apparently was enough to stir envy. Sakura's diary, the original me would have tried to shrink beneath it, would have apologized for standing too close to someone the others wanted to own. But I won't. I won't be ashamed of my friendships, of what I've worked to build. Sasuke is not a prize, and I am not a rival. Let them glare. I'll keep walking. By the time class ended, the sun was beginning to dip low outside the academy windows, casting warm slants of light across the desks. Students filed out slowly, most of them already talking about the next day. Sakura gathered her things calmly. Naruto bounded over, already mid-sentence about some idea for ninja lunch trading, while Hinata trailed beside him, quiet but smiling. They left the building together, moving through the courtyard as a group. Behind them, other students lingered in loose clusters. Ino passed by with her friends in tow. Her gaze landed on Sakura again. Still no words, just a look that promised plenty later. Sakura returned it, cool, unreadable, and turned away. As they walked toward the village paths, laughter bubbled up between Naruto and Hinata as they recounted something Iruka had said in class. Sakura joined in, letting the tension slide off her shoulders for now. She had expected today to feel heavier, but instead it felt hopeful, because the foundation was already there. Naruto, Hinata, Sasuke. Her bonds weren't guesses. They were roots. The others would come in time, and if not, she would still stand tall. Sakura's diary. I can feel the rhythm of this world shifting again. The academy is only a frame, something to hold the shape of our growth. But the real test will come outside these walls. And I'll be ready. We'll all face it together. Chapter 14, the bonds begin to form. Sakura's diary, day 2095, year 7. A rhythm is forming. We walk the same path each morning now. Naruto loud and unpredictable, Hinata soft-spoken but steadier with each step. I find comfort in the familiarity, in the way our feet match the same pace, even when our moods don't. It's a pattern, a shared beat. But even as our little circle strengthens, something else is tightening around the edges. The classroom doesn't welcome me the same way the village streets do. Ino doesn't speak to me. The others whisper when I walk by. I'm not angry, but I see it. And it's only a matter of time before someone tries to press the lines they think I've crossed. The days following the academy's start had settled into something resembling normal. Sakura would meet Naruto and Hinata near the gates each morning, the three of them walking together beneath the cool shade of the village rooftops. Hinata's growing confidence was subtle, small smiles, steady glances toward Naruto, but it was there, blooming slowly. Naruto, on the other hand, had enough energy for 10 of them. He filled every quiet space with stories, promises, laughter. It should have been exhausting, but Sakura had long since realized it was one of the reasons their group felt complete. And yet, inside the classroom, things were shifting. The other girls, especially Ino's group, had grown colder. They didn't confront her directly, but their glares were heavy, their whispers deliberate. It wasn't hostility born of hatred. It was ownership. And Sakura had stepped into territory they didn't think she belonged in. One afternoon during a short break, the room emptied in scattered pairs and trios. Naruto had wandered over to Kiba's desk, dragging Hinata with him. Sakura stayed behind, scribbling absent-minded notes in her journal. She didn't need to look up to sense Ino approaching. The chakra behind her pulsed with confidence, the sharp kind, defensive, territorial. Ino, Sakura greeted calmly as the blonde stepped in front of her desk, flanked by 3 other girls. Ino crossed her arms. You've been spending a lot of time with Sasuke. Sakura set her pencil down and looked up. Have I? I hadn't noticed. Ino's brow twitched. Don't play dumb. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The girls behind her closed in slightly, their gazes all trained on Sakura. It wasn't anger yet, but it was the kind of pressure that built from rehearsed indignation. This wasn't about Sasuke, not really. It was about power, placement. You're overthinking it, Sakura replied, voice steady. We're just classmates. Ino gave a dry laugh. Sure, but classmates don't get that kind of attention from him. You think hanging out with Naruto makes you look good to someone like Sasuke? Sakura exhaled slowly, letting the heat in her chest dissolve into cool reason. I think you're making this into something it's not, she said, and frankly, it's getting old. Sakura's diary. They want me to flinch. They want me to step back and give them permission to decide where I belong. But I won't. I know who I am now, and I don't need their approval to stand beside the people I care about. Before Ino could respond, a burst of chakra entered Sakura's sensory range. Familiar, bright, Naruto. Sakura-chan! His voice carried through the doorway a moment before he burst in, waving and grinning like the conversation hadn't just chilled the air in the room. He beamed at Ino. Hey, Ino! You here bothering Sakura again? Ino stiffened. Excuse me? Naruto turned to Sakura, leaning over her desk. You ready to go? Hinata's waiting. The other girls shifted uncertainly as Naruto's presence cut straight through the tension like sunlight. Sakura-chan's awesome, he said matter-of-factly. She's smart and strong. She even introduced me to Hinata. Then he tilted his head toward Ino, grinning wider. And she likes you, you know. Ino blinked. Sakura healed you last week when you tripped, right? She doesn't waste her energy on people she doesn't care about. The classroom went still for half a second. Even the background murmuring from other students paused. And for once, Ino didn't have a quick response. For a long moment, the classroom held its breath. Naruto's words weren't polished. They weren't subtle. But they had weight, not because of what he said, but because of how easily he said it. Because to him, it was the truth, obvious, undeniable. Sakura could feel it ripple through the space around her. Ino's chakra faltered for a brief second. Her composure cracked just enough to reveal something more vulnerable underneath. Confusion. Uncertainty. You're ridiculous, she muttered, half-heartedly, then turned and walked back to her seat with her followers in tow. The tension broke with the soft clatter of a chair. Sakura let out a quiet breath, letting the silence settle around her like the dust after a gust of wind. Sakura's diary. That was the first time Ino didn't have a comeback. Not because I won, but because Naruto spoke the truth so plainly, it couldn't be argued with. It wasn't about Sasuke. It was about the kind of girl they thought I was. And Naruto reminded them I'm something more. Hinata returned with Naruto not long after, her pale eyes flicking between Sakura and the space Ino had just left. You okay? She asked quietly, concern laced into every syllable. Sakura smiled, her voice low but steady. Better now. She didn't need to explain. Hinata had seen it, felt it. She always did. Naruto remained blissfully unaware of the underlying tension he just diffused. He beamed at both of them, proud of his impromptu speech, and slung his bag over his shoulder. Come on, let's get out of here before Iruka-sensei asks me to clean the boards again. Sakura laughed, and the three of them exited the building, the sunlight painting the walls in deep afternoon gold. The streets of Konoha were quieter than usual. Most villagers were indoors preparing meals or tending to their homes. The three of them walked at an easy pace, the warmth of the sun stretching out their shadows in front of them. Thanks, Naruto, Sakura said at last. He blinked at her. Huh? For what you said? Back in the classroom. Oh! He rubbed the back of his head, cheeks tinged red. That was nothing. I mean, you're always looking out for me and Hinata. Of course I'd back you up. Sakura smiled again. Still, thank you, Hinata added softly. It helped a lot. They walked in silence for a little while after that. But it wasn't uncomfortable. It was full, like the quiet after a storm, cleansing and still. And then she felt it, a flicker of familiar chakra on the edge of her senses. Strong, disciplined, steady like a quiet flame. Sasuke. She looked up just in time to see him walking ahead on a parallel path, his pace unhurried. His brother walked beside him, as he often did after academy hours. They moved like shadows of one another, different but undeniably connected. Sasuke's expression was neutral, but lighter than usual. He said something to Itachi, and his lips curved slightly. A smile, just a small one, but real. Sakura's heartbeat quickened, just a little. Sakura's diary. I wasn't expecting to see him today. Not like this. I wasn't prepared for the way his smile would feel, like sunlight catching the edge of something I didn't know I'd been carrying. And I still don't know what to call it, but I know I want to see it again. The walk home was quiet, not the uncomfortable kind of silence, just the kind that settled in when everything had already been said. Konoha's streets were still bathed in late sunlight, the shadows stretching long and gentle across the rooftops. Small clusters of villagers bustled here and there, shopkeepers closing early, children chasing one another through the alleys. Naruto walked ahead of them now, animatedly reenacting some imagined shinobi showdown with a series of exaggerated flips and sound effects. Hinata followed close, soft laughter trailing behind her. Sakura lingered a few paces back, her hands clasped loosely behind her as she watched them. This moment felt whole, like the first full breath after holding it for too long. Sakura's diary. There are moments, quiet ones, where I forget what I used to be. Not because I'm pretending, but because this life feels real now. Rooted. Naruto, with his endless optimism. Hinata, with her quiet kindness. Sasuke, with his stillness that speaks louder than words. These aren't just characters anymore. They're people. They're mine. And I won't let go of them. I think they understand now, Hinata said gently as they turned onto a quieter road. Sakura glanced at her. You think so? Hinata nodded. You don't need to worry about them anymore. Sakura smiled. I'm not sure I was ever really worried about them, but it's nice, having space to just be. They continued walking, the village slowly transitioning from orange-tinged evening to the early blush of twilight. Lamps flickered on one by one. The air grew cooler. Sakura tilted her head toward the sky, watching as the first stars began to peek through the fading blue. So much had changed since she arrived in this world, but even more had begun. Ahead of them, Naruto suddenly whirled around and grinned. Same time tomorrow? Of course, Sakura said. Hinata nodded, her smile shy but certain. Naruto gave them a wave and took off running, disappearing around the next bend. Sakura and Hinata parted ways soon after, each heading toward their homes. And as Sakura walked the final stretch alone, she felt grounded. Not entirely at peace. She knew the world wouldn't allow that for long, but balanced, centered, like the bonds she'd begun to form were threads she could trust to hold, even when things got difficult. And they would get difficult. She knew that. But tonight, she didn't have to carry it all. Tonight, she could simply walk beneath the quiet hum of lantern light, her thoughts steady, her heart open. Sakura's diary. There's still so much I don't understand about what I'm becoming, about what we're becoming. But for the first time, I'm not afraid of the path ahead, because I won't be walking it alone. Chapter 15. Training, Challenges, and New Beginnings. Sakura's diary. Day 203, Year 7. There's something sacred about routine. The way each day folds into the next, less dramatic than the stories, but more meaningful in its own way. I used to think power was forged in battles and trials, but I've learned it's built here, in morning walks, in laughter shared between sparring rounds, in staying late after class just to try one more time. This is where our story begins, not in bloodshed or glory, but in small moments that slowly thread us together. The first few weeks of academy life passed like a dream. Lessons filled the mornings. Kunai technique, basic chakra theory, history, endurance drills. In the afternoons, most students rushed home, eager to rest or play. But for 4 of them, the day rarely ended when the bell rang. Sakura stood beneath a swaying branch at the edge of the training grounds, watching her teammates. Naruto was in the middle of another failed shadow clone attempt. His chakra burst into the air with reckless energy, sputtered, and left behind one distorted, lopsided clone that collapsed with a pop. Damn it, Naruto shouted, hands in his hair. Why won't it work? Sakura smiled faintly. You're getting closer, she said. Really? He blinked, hopeful. Really, she said honestly. Your control's still a mess, but you're putting more intention into it. That's progress. From a few paces away, Hinata offered a soft smile. You're improving, Naruto-kun. Just a little more focus. Naruto lit up at the praise, rubbing his nose proudly. Yes, I'm almost there. Hinata glanced away, cheeks tinted pink. Sakura's gaze drifted toward the other end of the field. Sasuke stood beside a training post, retrieving shuriken with measured calm. His movements were clean, efficient, every step deliberate. His chakra was steady and dense, focused like a blade freshly honed. Sakura walked over, brushing a leaf from her shoulder. You're still improving, she said quietly, watching him line up another throw. Sasuke didn't look at her right away. Not enough. You're better than most of the older kids. That counts for something. He wiped sweat from his brow, turning to face her. His expression didn't shift, but something in his chakra eased, just slightly. You're not bad yourself, he said. Your chakra control's always ahead. The compliment caught her off guard. She felt her heartbeat stumble, just once. Thanks, she murmured. It's just practice, same as you. But he didn't look away, and for a moment she didn't either. Sakura's diary. Sometimes it feels like I've always known them. Naruto's wild chakra crashing like waves, Hinata's soft rhythm beneath the noise. And Sasuke's chakra feels like gravity, constant, quiet, unshakable. And yet, every time I feel it, something in me shifts, like I'm standing closer to something I don't quite understand yet, but I want to. Hey! Naruto called out from across the field, breaking the silence. Sasuke, Sakura-chan, come spar with us. Sasuke rolled his eyes, but his steps moved forward anyway. Sakura followed, smiling. Their little sparring matches had become a ritual now. Competitive, chaotic, and deeply comforting. They pushed each other, and through that, they grew stronger. Not just as shinobi, but as something more, as a team. The sparring ended in laughter. Naruto had managed to trip over his own sandal mid-charge, sending him tumbling into Sasuke, who barely sidestepped in time. Sakura had tried not to laugh. She really had. But the expression on Sasuke's face when Naruto landed in a sprawl was too much. Even Hinata giggled. The sky was streaked with gold and soft lavender by the time they packed up, their limbs sore and hearts full. As had become tradition, they made their way to the Uchiha compound, less a formality now, more a quiet understanding. Makoto met them at the gate, smile already in place. Training again, I see, she said, stepping aside to let them in. Come inside, I've just made tea. Naruto's eyes sparkled. Do you have snacks, too? Makoto laughed softly. Always. The four of them gathered in the garden behind the house, steam curling from ceramic cups, a plate of dango and rice cakes sitting between them. Makoto moved easily through the group, offering tea, brushing dirt from Naruto's shoulder, just straightening Hinata's collar with the practiced grace of a mother who knew how to nurture without smothering. She handed Sakura a cup last. You've been pushing hard lately, she said quietly. Don't forget to rest. Sakura's breath caught. It wasn't just concern in her voice, it was care. Real, familiar, maternal. The kind Sakura hadn't expected to find in this life. I'm okay, Sakura said gently, then added with a small smile. Mother? Mikoto's lips curved in amusement. Still calling me that, are you? Sasuke groaned from the porch where he sat, head resting on the edge of a cushion. She never stops. Naruto grinned through a mouthful of rice cake. I think it's great. Sakura's already like family. Sakura raised her cup with mock solemnity. Adopt me. You'll never have peace again. Denied, Sasuke muttered. Makoto only laughed and ruffled Sasuke's hair as she passed by. You'll survive. Sakura's diary, I call her mother. Part of it is teasing. Part of it isn't. The warmth in her voice, the way she always notices when I need a break, even before I do. I think some part of me started to believe I belong here. Not just in Konoha, but with them. The garden was quiet after that, full of soft chatter and shared silence. Ugaku passed by once, nodding to them with the same distant courtesy as always. Sakura offered a cheerful, evening, father, just to see his brow twitch. It did. He grunted. She took it as a win. Later, Sasuke leaned against the trunk of a blooming sakura tree, arms folded, eyes half closed as he listened to Naruto and Hinata's banter. Sakura joined him without a word. Someday, she teased softly, you'll admit you like when I call them that. Sasuke didn't look at her. Don't count on it. But his chakra pulsed warmer than usual, embarrassed, maybe, or amused. She couldn't quite tell. Either way, it felt like home. Evening settled over the Uchiha compound like a blanket of soft gold and deepening blue. The fading sunlight caught the blossoms of the surrounding trees, casting petals adrift in the breeze. The four of them remained in the garden long after the snacks were gone and the tea had cooled. No one felt the need to leave. Not yet. Naruto sprawled across the grass, arms behind his head, watching clouds fade into starlight. Do you think, he began, voice unusually thoughtful, will always be like this? Hinata, seated nearby, looked over with a quiet expression. What do you mean? This. He gestured vaguely at the sky, the garden, the space between them. Training together, hanging out, laughing. Sakura let her gaze drift upward. She could feel the heartbeat of each chakra signature beside her. Naruto's wild spark, Hinata's gentle thrum, Sasuke's smoldering calm. Together, they created a rhythm that was steady, familiar. I think, she said softly, that we'll change, we'll grow, we'll fight, we'll mess things up. There was silence as they waited. But I think this, she glanced at each of them in turn, this bond will stay, if we protect it. Sasuke, leaning against the tree beside her, gave a faint nod. We will. Naruto grinned. Of course we will. We're already like a team. Hinata nodded, her voice low but certain. We are. Sakura's diary. It wasn't a grand declaration. No dramatic oaths or sealing jutsu. Just a few words spoken in fading sunlight. But that was the first time we promised each other something real. That no matter what came next, we would stand together. The moon rose quietly over Konoha. The Uchiha compound was still, touched by shadows and light, and 4 children, bound by history, fate, and something deeper, sat among the falling petals, unaware of the trials to come, but ready to face them, together. Chapter 16, Progress and Rivalries. Sakura's Diary, Day 2109, Year 7. Progress isn't always seen in power or praise. Sometimes it's in holding your head high when the whispers start. Sometimes it's in choosing not to shrink, even when you feel outnumbered. I expected attention when I grew closer to Sasuke. I expected jealousy when Naruto and I became inseparable. But knowing it's coming doesn't make it easier, especially when it isn't just about Sasuke anymore. They don't like that I'm different, and I won't pretend to be anything else. The academy courtyard buzzed with chatter and the rhythmic clack of sandals as students trickled in for the morning. Sakura walked between Naruto and Hinata, the 3 of them mid-conversation as they crossed the front steps. Naruto was waving his arms dramatically. I've got a plan this time. I'll definitely land a clean hit on Sasuke during sparring, Sakura smirked. If he lets you. What's that supposed to mean? He huffed, puffing out his cheeks. Hinata's soft voice floated beside them. Sasuke-kun, he's careful. He doesn't waste movement. Naruto grumbled something under his breath about boring genius types, but Sakura could feel the flicker of admiration in his chakra. He respected Sasuke, even when he didn't want to admit it. They approached the entrance together, but Sakura could feel the shift before they even stepped inside. The stares, the narrowed eyes, the whispers just loud enough to catch. She's always with the boys now, acting like she's one of them, probably thinks she's better than us. The comments rolled over her like stale air, but her steps didn't falter. Sakura's diary. It's not about Sasuke anymore. They see the way I train, the way I speak with the instructors, the way I don't ask for permission to take up space. They think I'm trying to stand above them, but I'm just trying to stand at all. The classroom felt colder than usual. Naruto didn't seem to notice. He dropped into his seat, already debating Kiba about who would win in a head-to-head taijutsu match. Hinata followed, quiet but alert as always. Sakura sat beside them and opened her notebook, pretending not to feel the girl's eyes on her from across the room. She didn't flinch when they whispered, but the weight of it still pressed at her ribs. The bell rang, and the day moved forward like a current she refused to be pulled under. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the training grounds, heat rising off the stone in gentle waves. The class stood in formation, pairs being called out one by one for sparring. When Ami's name was called alongside Sakura's, the tension snapped into place like a drawn wire. Sakura stepped into the ring calmly, her fingers steady at her sides. Across from her, Ami wore a crooked smirk that didn't quite reach her eyes. They bowed. The match began. Ami lunged quickly, too quickly. Her movements were aggressive but telegraphed, all flash and no form. Sakura moved on instinct, sidestepping cleanly and countering with a fluid block, then a feint to the side that put her behind her opponent in a heartbeat. Ami spun to strike, off balance. Sakura caught her wrist, twisted, and swept the girl's legs from under her. The dust settled with Ami on her back and Sakura standing above her, kunai drawn but held loosely at her side. You think you're so special, Ami spat, chest heaving. Just because Sasuke looks at you, just because you're always surrounded by boys. Sakura blinked, stunned by the venom. What? You think you're better than the rest of us. You're not. You're just using them to get ahead. Sakura stepped back, lowering her kunai. I don't need to use anyone. I've worked hard to earn my place here. Ami climbed to her feet, eyes flashing. You just pretend you're not like the rest of us, but you're always trying to be at the center of everything. Sakura's jaw tightened, but before she could answer, another voice cut through the murmurs gathering around the sparring ring. You're wrong. Sasuke. He stood at the edge of the training field, arms crossed, eyes sharp. Sakura doesn't pretend to be anything. She is stronger than you, and she earned everything she has. The silence that followed was thunderous. Ami's face burned crimson. She opened her mouth, then shut it again. With a frustrated scoff, she turned and stalked off the field. Sakura's diary. I didn't expect him to say anything. Sasuke doesn't waste words, but he spoke up for me, and it silenced every whisper that had built up in my mind all week. Sasuke approached slowly. His expression was unreadable, but his chakra was steady, grounded. "You okay?" he asked, voice low. Sakura nodded, still catching her breath. "I didn't expect that." "They're jealous," he said simply, "but you're not the one who should feel ashamed." She looked up at him. "Thanks," he shrugged, just stating facts, but she could see the flicker of something unspoken in his eyes, something softer, a quiet trust building between them, layer by layer. After training, the group reconvened at the edge of the grounds. Naruto was mid-rant about how his match had technically ended in a draw, while Hinata offered him a rice ball from her bag. The usual rhythm returned: laughter, teasing, companionship. Sakura walked beside Sasuke as they turned toward the compound. "You're getting stronger," he said without looking at her. She smiled. "You too." For a few steps, there was nothing else that needed to be said. The road back through Konoha was bathed in warm light, the sky streaked in hues of rose and amber. Their laughter drifted down narrow streets, carried on the evening breeze. Naruto walked ahead, still reenacting parts of his sparring match with exaggerated sound effects. Hinata trailed behind him, her gaze soft and fond, her chakra humming with contentment. Sakura walked beside Sasuke, the rhythm of their steps matching without effort. They didn't speak much, but they didn't need to. Sometimes silence was its own kind of understanding. As they neared the Uchiha compound, Sakura felt the tension she hadn't realized she was carrying begin to ease. The day's weight, Ami's words, the stares, the whispers, was still there, but no longer heavy. It had been pierced by something far more enduring: trust. Sasuke glanced over at her. "They'll keep trying to make you doubt yourself." Sakura nodded. "I know. They're wasting their time." She smiled. "I know that too." They stopped just outside the compound's gate. Naruto had darted off ahead, dragging Hinata toward a dango stand with the promise of a training reward. Sasuke looked up at the sky, eyes narrowing slightly. "You're not the same girl you were a few months ago." Sakura tilted her head. "That a good thing?" He gave a small shrug. "It's different, but not bad." She laughed quietly. "I'll take that." Sakura's diary, the words hurt. The looks still sting. But they don't break me the way they once might have, because when I look around, I see what I've built. Real friendships, real trust, real progress, Naruto's fire, Hinata's quiet strength, Sasuke's steady presence. These are the bonds I've chosen, and I won't let anyone take them from me. Later that night, Sakura sat by her bedroom window, legs curled beneath her, the moonlight spilling across her notebook pages. The village was quiet, but her mind wasn't, because she knew this wasn't the end. The whispers would grow louder, the rivals would become more persistent, and the stakes, eventually, would become much more than bruised pride or petty envy. But she would be ready. Because this wasn't just about defending herself anymore. It was about protecting the people she loved.